Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Built Like This podcast. I'm your host, Maxine. We're on episode 361. Hello, hello, hello. We have a lot to get into for this episode, but before we get into it, go ahead and subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. Go ahead and like the video because you're already going to like it. Hello, let's set the intention now. And let's go ahead and get started. Let's get started. Miss Keri, baby. Keri Hilson. Keri Hilson is out here finally setting the record straight regarding her alleged beef. Not even alleged. It was a beef. It was more one-sided than anything. But there was some conspiracy behind Beyonce's song Bow Down Bitches. She was the conspiracy was that she was talking to Keri Hilson and everyone else. Keisha Cole took offense to it. Like, Keisha, where'd you come from? But nonetheless, we have here Keri Hilson, and she is finally letting us know what really happened when it came to this one-sided beef, because that's what it was. Beyonce didn't say anything to her, nor did Beyonce provoke this visceral reaction or a vitriol response or attack that Keri had out for Beyonce. I didn't understand what was going on. And this was a poor move on her part. Keri Hilson really played herself regarding this, and it really hurt her career. At one point, Keri Hilson was that girl. She had hit after hit after hit. I can't even tell y'all how much I used to play her records. Her album was super good. And this was during the time when I was an undergrad. So it was like a nice lit time in my life. And her music just was like a soundtrack to my life. Me and my roommates really vibed to her. And it was a good time. It was a good time until she decided to put her foot in her mouth and decided to release a diss track to Beyonce unprovoked. And I think she has smoke for Ciara too. But the Beyonce beef was more highlighted than anything else. So she is here at the Breakfast Club promoting her new album because she is back in music after, was it been 10 years, 7 years? It's been a long time since her last album. And she is finally letting us know the dealio behind this beef.
Kind of environment, because I was shook. I was scared. I was not of her. Like, I love her. I think she's incredible. She's one of the greatest artists of all time. And I'm a fan. Like,
hold on. Not one of. Already she's starting off wrong. Bitch, she is the greatest artist of our time. She's a walking legend, a living legend. Keri, come on. Oh, I'm a fan. Yeah, you should have. She should have started off with that. Oh, I am a fan. Yes, you are. But go ahead.
have always been. That's never been in question for me. But now it's a name I can't say. It's a magazine I can't hold. It's a conversation I don't want to have publicly just because I don't want to piss anybody off. I don't want to make things even more weird than they already were. I just wanted it to go away. I wanted it to go away. It's a regret, but not in the way that people would think, because that's a song that I actually didn't write. Those are not my words. I was on tour. Polo wanted me to do a remix to Turning Me On. He had produced the record, and I wasn't, because I was on tour with Lil Wayne. I wasn't able to, like.
And y'all remember that song, You're Turning Me On. Wait, I'm singing another song, but that's a song. You're turning me on. You're turning me on. Whatever. It was a hit. It was a hit, so much so that she, back in the day when a regular single is a hit, they had to do it over and remix. That was that song for Keri Hilson. And apparently she was coerced, and she's going to get into it, but she was coerced to remix that song to a diss track towards Beyonce Giselle Knowles.
lay anything down. He had been on me for a couple of weeks about we need to do a remix. Okay, so I take off. It wasn't happening quick enough for him. I take off. We fly in, and he had another writer in our camp at the time. He had her write this. So he
Esther
played it for
Dean.
me like this is the remix, because I'm thinking I'm coming in to go write a remix to turn me on. Like the whole time I had been writing concepts like, what would I say? How do I even remix this? Like, what do I want to? So I had lines and I had, things that I would have said, but I come into the studio and he plays me this verse, and I'm like, automatically, I'm like, I'm not saying that. That was my position. I'm an athlete, but I'm a finesse player. I'm not a nasty player. I'm not a dirty player. I don't even look at things like that. I'm competitive I'm also a swimmer, so that's a self sport. That's like an inside game. And that's how I played every sport that I played. So I never found it, but we disagree there, Polo and I, because he believes in kind of the shock jock mentality. He believes in kind of playing dirty to a degree, and I don't.
Yeah, it's not rap.
So exactly. It was quite forceful. You know what I mean?
In an executive artist way?
Yeah, in an executive artist way only.
And here's the thing with Keri Hilson. She's telling us that she was essentially forced, and she was hesitant to use that word because of, the negative connotation that's attached to force. So forceful, he made me do it, I didn't want to, all of that has a negative connotation, but nonetheless, she eventually said that word. I think she also said coerce. And the thing is, when I was introduced to Keri Hilson, I knew her as a songwriter. Apparently, she was already in the industry, but as a songwriter. Same for Neo. I look mad short. Let me just position it real quick. I'm 5'5". Hold on. Neo was a songwriter, is a songwriter, but prior to us knowing him as an artist, he was a songwriter. Same with Keri Hilson. So I bring that up to say, I feel like, yes, I do believe, and I do want to give her grace because she was essentially bullied out of the industry for a long time. Every time she would speak, the beehive will be buzzing all up in her comments, not supporting her, basically canceling her before cancellation became a thing. So, in the beginning of, I may have participated, and that's not right. But the point is, don't come for the queen, right? Shout out to Beyonce. But anyway, the point is, she was a songwriter, so she already had, in my opinion, some leverage in the industry. So what doesn't make sense to me is, how can someone who was not new to the industry, who already had relationships, who is revered to some degree, because to have had a career in the music industry as a songwriter, that means you have built relationships with many people, not just the artist, but the engineer, the producer, whomever, the record label. People know you. So it's not like she's this lily girl who had no idea of the music industry and woe is me, I had no choice but to diss Beyonce. Honestly, I feel like maybe this was a move that was initially introduced to her by Polo Don and Esther Dean, who are songwriters. But I think Keri Hilson gladly, is it gladfully? Or gleefully, I swear I'm smart, but she happily participated in this scheme that Todd set up. She absolutely did. And I think there is a level of frustration there as I'm listening, and as a lot of people are listening to this interview with her, because some people are just like outright not believing her. Like, girl, you're lying. She's lying. She's just saving face. She's blaming it on the songwriter. And actually, Esther Dean came to her defense. So maybe that could push us to believe that Keri Hilson was this innocent lily, this wallflower. But the way my mind works, I feel like this is a conspiracy, a scam, a scheme that Todd set up. Shout out to Real Housewives of Atlanta, but shout out to Mama Joyce. But seriously, I feel like Esther Dean was aware that Keri Hilson is gonna, of course, be asked this question, especially at the Breakfast Club during this interview. And the game plan was to say, look, say that you were essentially put in a corner and you had no choice but to go along with this rap diss, this R&B diss towards Beyonce. Blame it on me. It's fine. I don't have any bad relationships in the music industry, and it'll pass over. So they could finally take the heat off of you after so many years. It's been a long time, and consistently, Keri Hilson has been dragged over the years because of her decision. Essentially, it was a decision that she still made because she could have just been like, no, I'm not doing it. But I guess maybe it's easy for me to say. I'm not in the industry, so I don't know the inner workings. But again, I think with Keri Hilson being an established name at the time, Keri, come on, you were this like, were you really put in a corner?
You know, involving others and kind of threatening my career in a sense, in a real sense. Like, you're not coming, because my album wasn't out yet. So it was like, you're not coming out if you don't do this. And the mistake that I made was not continuing to fight. But I was in tears. I was crying. I was adamant that I did not want to do that.
And for people that don't know, you were signed to Polo.
I was signed to Polo and Timbaland.
Correct.
Yep, in a joint venture at Interscope Records.
Yep.
And I was young. I was super young. I felt I had no power. I felt I had no choice. But I did record my version, which had nothing like that in it. It was on subject. The song is about men. And I think days after? He remembers more because he was there.
Wow.
He remembers more. Was it days after when it leaked? It leaked like days after I did it.
Don't be adding this random guy who's not even in the camera. He knows. He was in the studio with me. Who is this ghost?
But he promised me that wouldn't happen, so it leaked. And that was that. And I protected him. I protected the girl that wrote it, who went on to become famous. I protected everyone in the story.
But that's the thing that doesn't make any sense to me. You were essentially forced, according to your story, you were forced. You had no choice. You cried about it. You tried to argue them or debate them out of this decision, but your career was threatened. But you defended them. You protected them. Okay.
So I had to eat that. And I am still eating it to this day because I'm getting asked about that 15, however many years, 16, 17 years later.
Yeah,
it's like I've worn the scarlet letter, really.
And that's absolutely it. But there's more to it. It'll be one thing if it was just a song that was flippant, but of course it went viral before viral became a term, I guess. But it became viral. And Keri Hilson, she played into that identity so much so that it is hard to believe that she didn't mean what she said and that it was a song written for her and she was just this puppet that's being used. And Keri, every time she was stopped at the red carpet and she was asked a question about Beyonce, say happy birthday to Beyonce, Keri Hilson's like, happy birthday. Okay, that sounds like a woman who truly has no issue with Beyonce. No. Here's the thing. What is a consistent theme amongst artists that I've seen as a consumer is, there's only room for one. You can only have one hot Black R&B songstress. You could have only one hip hop artists popping at the time. Like, this is idea of the brain can't handle more than one when it comes to these artists. So we only have budget for one. So I think Keri saw Beyonce as a threat, understandably so, and wanted to make a name for herself by starting this R&B diva diss track that at that time, at least for her generation, for that generation of female solo artists, was not a thing that really happened. So I think Keri Hilson probably thought, oh, this is a trendsetter. I'm being a trendsetter here. I'm trend setting this moment. I'm being one of the first R&B songstress to create an R&B diss track. That's what I think is or was the intention behind it. And of course, it bit her in the ass, and she suffered from it for 15 years. That's no exaggeration. I tell y'all, this took place when I was in undergrad, and that was a long time ago. So, but let's go ahead and play some examples, or this one example here of Keri Hilson being shady towards Beyonce. Okay, so there, if you're not watching the video, let me just read what was shown on the screen. So this is a throwback video of an interview that is being done on the red carpet. And the setup of this interview is to have artists who are on the red carpet to hold a copy of a magazine. On the cover of the magazine is Beyonce and Jay-Z. They're the main picture on the cover. And the goal for this interview is to have these celebrities hold the magazine and say a shout out. Okay. So we're starting off with Lance Gross. Where is he? I haven't seen him in a minute since that Journey Smollett movie, Temptations of a something. Okay. As you can see, Beyonce and Jay-Z are on the cover. I'm going to just hold that. So what happens when we ask Keri Hilson to hold a Juicy magazine with Beyonce on the cover?
Just shout out Juicy Mac.
Okay. There we go. What happened? Keri's looking at the cover already with a stank face. First she says, yeah, who's that? Bitch, you know who this is. You know who Beyonce is. Let's cut it out, Keri. Own it. I think if Keri came on The Breakfast Club and just said, yeah, at the time, I was hating. I wanted to be the only songstress on top of the charts. And I thought I could attack the Queen Bee, but I got attacked. And now I suffered, or I suffered from it for 15 years. I learned my lesson. I was obviously a fan of Beyonce. That's why I wanted to replace her, but it didn't work out. But I'm standing on business. That's what it was. It was Esther Dean made me do it. Polo the Don made me do it. Girl, bye. So again, Keri Hilson is on this red carpet. She's acting like she don't know who Beyonce is as she's looking on the cover or at the cover of this magazine. And she says, yeah, who's that?
Shout out Juicy Mac.
She says, no, I can't do that. I'm sorry. Okay. Mind you, other celebrities before her did what she was asked to do, which was, again, to hold this magazine and give a shout out to the magazine. Say, shout out to Juicy Magazine, yada, yada, yada. You know, they're the best source for internet gossip, you know. But she immediately declined, said, I can't do that, had a stank face on her. And that's very telling. So what about that? You know, I do wonder because I didn't watch the whole interview. just saw the clips of the necessary part that I wanted to see. But I do wonder if Charlemagne the God or whomever else on the show challenged her a bit and said, well, you kind of played into it, Keri. Let's not act obtuse here.
You want to hold the magazine? Just shout out Juicy Mac.
Oh, exactly.
You want to hold the magazine?
I want to. So she then.
What's up, guys? It's your girl, Miss Keri, baby. You checking out Juicy Magazine. Peace.
No, that's too funny. But again, these are examples of Keri being childish, Keri Hilson being rude, Keri Hilson being shady towards Beyonce, unprovoked. So again, Keri, please stop acting like you were this damsel who had no voice, who had no choice. I had no choice but to diss Beyonce. Miss Keri, bye. Miss Keri, bye. Cory Booker. Cory Bookham. Can we do that? Can we arrest this man talking about, oh, I want to talk for 25 hours straight? What are you saying? And the Democrats are cheering him on like he did something. I want to know, what was the point? Shout out to Cardi B, because I want to say, what was the reason? What was the reason of that? What was the reason for that? I really don't understand. So let's play a little bit of the points behind it. I know people are trying to say, well, it was for raising awareness. It was, it was theatrical. It was performative. It was unnecessary. Why are you standing up for 25 hours straight? Why are people at the Congress building for 25 hours straight? Because I think it was 25, not 24. So that's what I'm saying, 25. He didn't smell. Apparently, he didn't take any breaks. He didn't take a water break, take a potty break. No, he spoke for 25 hours. Let's get into it.
Of the United States Senate for as long as I am physically able. This would be a crisis for elder care. This would be a crisis for disability services. What it is, when a nation isn't taking care of its elders, it's a crisis of our national character. Why are so many women dying in childbirth and in the postpartum period in America? Shameful. And now, I just found...
Look at him looking all tired. Because why are you doing this? Sit down.
Found out that the community violence intervention money that you allowed me to fight so hard to get into that bill is being clawed back by Donald Trump. They're writing me letters with words like fear and terror. They're talking about staying up at night and not being able to sleep because they don't have a president that comforts them. I mean, it's almost like you can't make this up, honestly.
But yes, you can make it up, because y'all make it up all the time. Every year, every day, someone's sitting up in fear because of Donald. Can y'all cut it? Because of Donald Trump? You wasn't in fear before when Kamala Harris and Joe Biden wanted to have another war? Wanted to have China blow up the nuclear bombs? Huh? But Donald Trump not respecting your pronouns, or Donald Trump not allowing gender affirming care to kids, that's making you cry at night. If you don't go find a job.
Another story from a Social Security employee in New Jersey. I am a claims representative for our Social Security field office. The most dramatic changes I've noticed from our recent change in operations is that our appointment calendar seems to be filling up more quickly for simple post-entitlement changes. We've gone through healthcare cuts. We've gone through Social Security being attacked and undermined and slashed. If you're revoking somebody's visa, make a phone call. Tell them that you have 30 days to leave.
He definitely looks like he has to pee. This is just ridiculous. It's dumb. But go off.
But there should be due process. You should have to prove your claims in court. If this person is somehow a lying with some kind of enemy, prove it. You don't need more tax cuts. And we as a society have an obligation to each other, to those farmers, to those rural folks.
What I do wonder though is by hour 14, did anyone leave? Like, did anyone in the audience say, that was good, man. I'm gonna see you tomorrow. I'll text you. I'll follow up. Or did everyone stay the whole time too?
To the cops I stood with at the funeral of one of their colleagues in Newark 2 weeks ago. Our Social Security offices are being closed already. And the question of why?
His breath probably stinks. You cannot talk for 16 hours straight and your breath not stink by hour 8. So let's start there.
Under the guise of efficiency, but you're hurting our elders who deserve dignity in their retirement. It's stunning to me. I've had farmers from New Jersey to Texas coming to my office about this president freezing contracts that we approved in a bipartisan manner, putting them in financial crisis. It's not right or left, it's right or wrong. It's not a partisan moment, it's an American moment. It's a moral moment. Does the wealth of our people, we have more billionaires than any other country, does that speak to the greatness of our nation? No. I think the things that speak to the greatness of a nation is how do we take care of each other? I ask you, are you better off than you were 72 days ago economically? I asked that question. Ask it to
Hour
your friends.
21.
Are they better off economically? Well,
That SpongeBob
I don't
meme.
see how they could be.
24 hours later, Cory Booker is literally the embodiment of that.
Prices are up, stock market's down, the risk of recession is climbing, consumer confidence is in the gutter. I want to stand here today and tell you I'm going to do everything I can. I'm willing to go to some lengths. But I am inadequate. You are inadequate. We're senators with all of this power, but in this democracy, the power of the people is greater than the people in power. This is a moral moment that more Americans need to stand up and say enough is enough. Moment where judges rule in his favor, and he praises them. They just don't rule for him. He drags them and threatens them, so much so that Chief Justice of the Supreme Court has to tell them to back up. When elected officials, speak up, many of them fear what the consequences would be for them or their reelection if they speak against him.
And there we have it. So 23 minutes, not minutes, excuse me, 23 hours? Is that what it was? I mean, I guess. What did I do? Leave in the comments below. What did that accomplish? Tell me, what did that accomplish? Because I don't understand what was the reason. What could have been effective is if he spoke to both sides. Because I know I'm sounding all MAGA, Maxine. I get that. But, ooh, the cat's outside are fighting. But I think, no party is perfect. No party is without any flaws. So absolutely, the Republican Party has flaws, as well as obviously the Democratic Party. So if Cory Booker maybe included some flaws from the Democratic Party, maybe included the reasons why Kamala Harris's campaign was a failure, then I think he would have really shined in this groundbreaking, world record breaking speech he gave. But because it's the same, Donald Trump is bad guy, it's just so, it has no meaning to me. It has no meaning. I don't see what the purpose was. And I want to know exactly, what are you doing? what was that for? I like things to have purpose. I like things to have meaning. And that had no meaning to me, but shout out to him, Cory Booker. Good. It's a good man, Savannah. Tracee Ellis Ross First of all, did we watch Black Mirror? This first episode, I loved, I enjoyed. It was a good one. This was the first, maybe not the first time, because I watched Girlfriends when I was younger. And Joan, which is the character that Tracy Ellis Ross played, had her annoying moments that made me want to slap her. But this role right here that Tracy Ellis plays, Tracy Ellis Ross played in Black Mirror. Oh, I wanted to smack the goddamn shit out of her. The daggone shit out of her. I want to smack the shit out of her. Talking about, oh, it was just $500 extra for the luxury premium edition of this head thing to make sure that you stay alive when you're out of the circuit. I don't know. Anyway, the point is, she did a good job. Because if we're feeling so passionate about her character, because, you know, after I watch anything, I go to X, I go to Reddit, I engage in conversation with people about it. I want to talk about it. And a lot of people hated Tracy Ellis Ross. So she did a damn good job in this role. So shout out to her. But she was on Michelle Obama's podcast. Michelle Obama has a podcast with her brother, who I think he's gay, right? Did that come out at some point? I don't know. The point is, they have a podcast, and Tracy Ellis Ross decided to share that, yeah, I'm 52 and I have not been married. I don't have any kids. What I do like about how she explained that is she was vulnerable and transparent about the grieving process that she experienced because of where she is. Because, you know, despite being this embodied person, she's accomplished, she has a full life, she has great relationships in her life, she has good friends. You know, she never gotten married, she never had kids, and there is a moment that you grieve that, you know. And I love the honesty that she shared with that, because oftentimes you have these women, for example, Ebony K. Williams, who would talk in this like anti-men rhetoric, so much so that, girl, do you just like don't like men at all? Like, what's going on? Like, she just comes off very man hater. She doesn't want a man who's a bus driver. He got to own the bus. Okay, but she doesn't talk about the character of a man. She just only focuses on the pockets of a man, the status of a man. And she don't like men so much so, or hates them so much so, that she got a baby from the bank. She got a sperm baby and had a baby on her own as a single mother, and wrote a love letter to her daughter about that. It's just like a lot of effort to tell us, I hate men. Not once have we heard Ebony K. Williams say, hey, you know, there was a period in my life when I was sad that this fruition of marriage and children and in a two-parent household never came to be for me. And I do feel sad that I am seeking this route to fulfill my desire for motherhood. You know, instead she goes into it kind of like kind of prideful. And look, to each their own. I think people should have the choice to decide however they want their life to look. Absolutely. But I think we're being intellectually dishonest when we don't say, yeah, I mean, I did feel in grief when I realized that, hey, maybe this won't happen for me, or in grief that it hasn't happened yet. You know, maybe you thought, oh, by 27, you would have been married with kids, but now you're 52 and it hasn't happened. And now the hope for that to happen keeps dwindling. I want to hear more of that honesty. So finally hearing that from a Tracee Ellis Ross, I think that was very inspiring. I think that was honest and very much appreciated. But let's get into what she talks about here, because she talks about her preference. Again, Tracee Ellis Ross is a 52-year-old woman. There have been times when she would show her ass online, like literally show. I'm not saying it in a facetious way, like, oh, she just shows her ass. No. Like, oh, like she's just bold and she, have these bold opinions. No. I'm talking about showing her literal ass. She would pose in these outfits and purposely pose in a way to show her ass. So she doesn't really look, you wouldn't think 52, but nowadays 52 don't look the same 52 back in 91. But let's go ahead and play this clip here of what Tracee Ellis Ross tells us about her dating preferences.
Masculinity, and have been raised in a culture where there is a particular way that a relationship looks. And anything that starts to smell of that for me, I did enough of it where I was controlled and felt like I was a possession or whatever those things were, or prize, and I have no interest in it, and I will not do it again.
I'm sorry. No.
Okay. So she does not want to date men who are of her age range. She believes that they exemplify, many of them at least, in her experience, exemplify toxic masculinity. And she's been in relationships in which she saw that firsthand, right? Her man at the time saw her as an object, saw her as a prize, and it was their way or the highway. And she contributed that to the age of said man and thought, okay, well, maybe I just won't date this age group anymore. So her preference is younger. Now, she doesn't get into detail on how young, and I don't think Michelle Obama or her brother asked that question directly. Like, so how young we talking, But what we're seeing here is a lot of support online for what Tracee Ellis Ross is saying that, okay, that's fine. She should be able to date who she wants, and right on, sister. Yeah, cougar lifestyle, yada, yada, yada. But again, there's a double standard between men and women, and that's what it is. And we can't, the thing is with double standard, people want to say that, well, if it was with a man, if a man said the same thing, we wouldn't like that. Yeah, we know. Like, that's why gender war topics feel so redundant and unproductive, because we live in a double standard society. And that is true. If a man said what Tracee Ellis Ross said, I only date younger women because the older women, they don't want to deal with my shit, but the younger women, I could mold them to who I want them to be for me. Oh, that man would have been ripped to shreds. But a woman saying that, Tracee Ellis Ross saying that, that's praise, that's encouraged. But that's the double standard that we live in. So getting up in arms about this is silly to me. Do I think she's wrong for feeling this way? I mean, no. I feel like typically our past experiences will determine our choices moving forward. And if she wants to do something different, sometimes, we go about our choices in life and think, oh, if I continue making the same choice, something different will happen. We know that to be insanity, right? So with Tracee Ellis Ross, she is trying a new route. Like, hey, I no longer want to deal with toxic masculinity. I primarily dealt with that with men who were of my age range. So let's try something new. Let's date men who are in their 30s, who are maybe in their early 40s. So again, I don't know how young she prefers, but that's her experience. I don't see the issue. Now, yeah, if a man said the same thing, that's toxic masculinity. Yeah, it is. Okay, like, can we get out? We're designed differently. We are perceived differently. Men and women, we are perceived differently, and that is okay. A woman shouldn't live like a man. A man shouldn't live like a woman. And the way you go about life is going to be different. And the way that is received is going to be different. So I don't see an issue. I don't see an issue here with what she's saying. She's again talks about how she will not sacrifice just being with a man just because, oh, I have a man. She would rather be with the right person for her without having to sacrifice dealing with toxic masculine men. Okay. But I mean, this speaks to why she's 52 and single and unmarried, right? It speaks to that. So there's always a cost to everything. It just is what it is. I think with Tracee Ellis Ross now, we could always, at this point of the conversation, we're projecting our opinions or assumptions about her life. Maybe Tracee Ellis Ross is hard to talk to. Maybe she is very stubborn, and maybe she feels like the men around her age range who she's interested in, they can't hold a candle to her, so she don't respect them. So it's a number of different things. Maybe she doesn't want to accept men just being men. And that people are so quick to say toxic masculinity. When that is used so flippantly, it's actually disrespectful to the toxic men out here. Why can't we say toxic specifically for men who beat on women, specifically for men who abuse women in other ways, who gaslight women? Why can't we just say it for that? But we say it for men who prefers their women to be submissive. That's toxic masculinity. Who prefers their women to be domesticated. That's toxic masculinity. Like, why is that toxic? But like, why is toxic this big umbrella is what I'm saying. Why is toxic masculinity is this big umbrella when specifically I think it should be reserved for men who abuse women, men who are abusive. People just be using the word abusive and toxic masculinity so flippantly. It's actually very disrespectful. So again, I think Tracee Ellis Ross is well within her right to say what she said here. If a man said the same thing, it will be looked differently. Absolutely, because he's a man. Let's cut it out. We can't have our cake and eat it too. What? Then why have the cake? I never understood that. Why have the cake? Okay, we can't talk about, oh, I want to be this. I want a traditional man. I want a man who pays my bills, who protects me. I want for nothing. I want for nothing. But we're not being traditional towards that man. We're not cooking. We're not cleaning. We're not sucking his dick. What are we doing? And you want him to be faithful? Let's move on. Let's move on. Kenya Moore hair care. Kenya Moore, I am super. So Kenya Moore decided to come out and tell us her confessional because since the season started, we already knew that she was removed from this season after a few episodes. And going into this season of Real Housewives of Atlanta, there were no confessionals shown of Kenya Moore. she was in some episodes, in the first few episodes, but she did not have a confessional, which was definitely intentional by Bravo. I think Bravo has it out on Kenya. I think two things could be true. I think Bravo does have it out for Kenya and does not like her. The producers do not like her. But I think that could be because Kenya's not likable. Let's start there. I don't know why some of y'all are team twirl. Kenya Moore is a bitch. I know she hates that word. That's like a big word for her. You know, people be like, girl, bitch, bye. She be like, you call me out of my name? Like, she's very of that older generation who just can't even comprehend the word bitch, even in a flippant way. Like, it is really, don't call me out my name. Don't, like, girl, bitch, bye. Oh Lord. But anyway, she did not have a confessional throughout this season. And this season just started, and she, at this point of the season, has not been has been removed from the show because of her release of Brittany Edie's allegedly underage. I'm not too sure on the details of that because I'm hearing conflicting information, but nonetheless, nude photos of Britt Edie. And she showed these photos after Kenya felt threatened by Britt, when Britt said, oh, I have these pistols on me, yada, yada, yada. And she's like, oh, I felt threatened. And according to this confessional here, because I've heard snippets of it, Kenya Moore says that she went to the producer, she went to Bravo, she apparently did the protocol of HR, go to HR, right? And she was gaslit to believe that they would do something about it, but they never did. So in her mind, she thought, well, I had to defend myself, so I'm going to get a PI to find information about Britt Edie, and release it on the day of in the shop of my Kenya Moore hair spa, because I'm defending myself. How is that defending yourself? And I talked about this before, so we don't have to go into details about that, but I just want to give a quick update on that, because since then she has released her confessional, because this was a shade to the show because they did not give her a confessional for this season. So let's get to what she says here and how she kind of defends her case, still holding no accountability, because in no way am I going to sit here and say I understand why Kenya Moore decided to release nude photos of Britt Edie. Some people are saying, oh, well, if Britt didn't want people to find the new photos of her, she should have never gone online nude. What are y'all talking about? First of all, we have a lot of us, if not every single body, every single one of us have done things in our past when we were young out of stupidity and didn't realize how deep the internet goes. And even when you think you've deleted something, someone has a copy of it. It could always be retrieved. Okay, so and there's just a level of ignorance that young people have. So there's that. And I think, people are like, oh, well, so what? Is her new? It's the fact that it's not her choice to show it today. It's the fact that she is an adult now. She's an adult woman now. And she looked back at her past and she doesn't talk about this freely. So who are you to take out these photos that you dug up and release it? The intent was to be vengeful, and it backfired. And it makes no sense how this is your way of defending yourself. That's not defense, girl. Bye. But let's go ahead and get to what Kenya Moore says about some of these things, what people are saying to her regarding this situation.
Influential. Portia, in her recent YouTube, alluded to another housewife sending me the photos. So number one, that's a lie. The photos were online on various porn sites. Everyone involved, not including Drew Sidora, found those images, and they're still there. The photos that were revealed are not considered revenge porn. I want to make sure I didn't break any laws, so I engaged a local attorney who advised me about the federal law as well as the Georgia state law. So yes.
But here's the thing with that. You had to do all of that. You had to consult with a federal attorney, the state law attorney, to confirm if releasing these images would not be criminally offensive. If you had to do all of that, Kenya, at what point did you say to yourself, maybe this isn't a good idea? Maybe I should go another route. I feel like I'm taking this housewife thing too far. Absolutely taking it too far. Like it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. Kenya, it doesn't make sense. You should have stopped at some point. Like, if I had to talk to 3 different attorneys before I roll out this super hot defense, super hot attack, maybe I shouldn't do it.
I am very sorry that I shared the photos because it wasn't right, but I did not break the law, and I'm very sorry for what I did. I think.
Okay. It's the but for me, but I didn't break the law. I didn't do revenge porn. And you could find this, these images of Britt Eady readily on porn sites. And so what? Let's say if you really could, because I'm not searching. I mean, if I run by them, then I run by them. But I'm not going out of my way to search, to dig them up, to then post them in life size for all to view, because that's not my place. For what? For what? You were so threatened by her pistol comment. So you think doing this would have protected you? Girl, she would have, if she was really about that life, she would have been shot. She would have been pew, 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 bitch. She would have been. How is that smart? I'm doing this for my daughter. Kenya Moore. Brooklyn doesn't even know you. Brooklyn doesn't even know you. She doesn't even like you for real. If we want to go off the videos, but let's move on. The point is, I think Kenya Moore lacks accountability. She was forced to finally say a level of an apology, but according to Britt Eady, Kenya Moore has yet to apologize to her. She's apologizing to the public to make us believe that she is remorseful and she was very just upset with herself that she did something like this, or that she did this, period. Still, I'm not buying it. Kenya Moore, please. It's the but for me. Cut it out.
I think that when she was interviewing for Real Housewives of Atlanta, she wanted the villain role. She wanted to come after me because she felt like, okay, well, Portia wasn't there at the time. I was.
So what? Again, now Kenya's this victim. She's still this victim. That is a part of Real Housewives. You go in with an agenda. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And maybe, so let's say, so what? Okay, Britt Eady did go in with the agenda to go after Kenya Moore. That still does not warrant you creating life-size images of Britt Eady's nude past. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Right? When she met me, Portia flushed this out. She was surprised and thrown off that I was so nice. But she was failing, like she was dull. I heard it. It didn't make the edit. That's why I keep a for like you. Yelling and screaming. I did go to the producer. Nobody checked bags when we're filming. Nobody checked cars when we're filming. You show up, you go inside, and you start to film. But weeks later, you want to say, oh, we had an investigation and found that you weren't in violation of the gun policy. I complained to HR. I did all these other things. Now you want to do an investigation? 3 weeks have gone by because someone said it. Well, we already know that person is a liar, right? Can you go to your job tomorrow and say, you, Joe? That's why I keep a for like you, Joe. You going to HR and the police. I don't anticipate an imitation. Yeah, I don't see that.
Here's the thing. No, you can't do that in corporate America. No, you can't do that at a school. No. But you're on a reality TV show. You know how many things y'all could do that we can't? What are we talking about? And you really think Britt Eady was out here trying to really pistol whip you or pistol shoot you? Cut it out, dog. So that point is invalid as F. It's invalid as F. Of course, you can't go to your regular old job talking to your coworker, talking about, bitch, I got pistols in my bag for bitches like you. Yeah, you lose your job and your license and your house. All of that in one day. But in the Real Housewives of Atlanta, oh, that's absolutely allowed. That's encouraged. I'm sure Britt Eady was encouraged to go off just like that. I'm sure she was. Let's cut it out. Let's cut it out. Like, there's no comparison to reality TV world to everyday reality. Our jobs are not the same, Kenya Moore.
Listen, I ain't still the moment. Kenya Moore hair care. Am I the only same motherfucker here?
I don't care what nobody say. Kenya Moore.
No, okay. Anyway, as y'all can see, I am not Team Twirl. I'm glad that she is no longer on the show. I don't know if she will be asked back. I don't know if she even will want to return. Who knows? But at this point, I'm really tired of these housewives not letting go. You have Nene Leakes still talking about Real Housewives when she is the one who sued her boss, sued Bravo, talking about discrimination, talking about racism at the workplace, yada, yada, yada. Yet people are still expecting her to return or hoping for her to return. And Nene Leakes is even playing into that. Like, what sense does that make? I truly don't understand. But these washed up hot, they leave one day. And then, sorry, there's a fly I've been trying to get, and I finally see it. Damn it. Okay, 1 second, y'all. Oh, I got it. I got the fly, y'all. Anyway, yeah, I am not Team Twirl. Goodbye, Kenya Moore. But we'll see. We may see her again next season, just like we keep seeing Cynthia Bailey. I remember when Cynthia Bailey first left the show. She was on Wendy Williams, and she's talking about, I'm not returning to the Real Housewives of Atlanta. I just, at that point, she was married to her second husband. And I say was because she immediately got divorced. Because that woman, if commitment was a word, she would not be it. She would not be it. Okay. That's Cynthia Bailey for you. But it was this big thing, oh, I'm not returning and talking about new pastures. Just for her to return to the show, probably a season later at that point, and for her to still be on the show now. Enough. If you're gone, you're gone. Stop playing with my emotions. All right, guys, I'm going to introduce you to a new segment. I'm adding a segment onto the show. It's been only 4 years. It's been more than 4 years. It's been 7 years, like 6, 7. How long have I been podcasting? But I'm trying something. I'm playing more with graphics and stuff, and I think this is a fun little segment that I just thought of and created. It's our
Russ, did you guys lose this game or did the Jazz win this one?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man? Bro, I'm out, man. My nigga's tripping.
Oh, so funny. It's our what the It was actually Now What the, that's what it is. Okay. Now What the segment. And this segment simply focuses on the shenanigans that I see on the internet. Clips that I've watched on X or whatever platform. And I'm just like, what the? I'm going to start off with this clip because I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say. I think there's a psychosis when it comes to uber religious women in particular. There are men too, but I want to focus on the women because you have women who will soldier through in their marriage and think this is of God and believe that they're graced by God to be in this abusive marriage. And sometimes people don't recognize there are other forms of abuse aside from physical, but you can't tell me a man, your husband, telling you he hates you, he wished he never married you, calling you a bitch, and of course cheating on you. I mean, that's a given. He was doing that before, right? But hating you, just literally saying I hate you, all of this, all of that, and then you sitting in the marriage talking about I was graced by God to iron his shirt before he goes out to see the other woman. I was graced by God to say you will love me one day in our marriage. You will. Not once did you think about divorce. And this is a pastor and his wife. Let's get into this.
And I realized that God loves me, that God has a purpose and plan for my life, that God chose me, that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Yeah. So he would call me out my name. It wouldn't bother me because I allowed God's voice to be louder than his. And when I was going through transition of him not coming home on the weekends, not being there, telling me I hate you, I'll never love you, I wish I never married you, right. I knew that life and death is in the power of the tongue through the word of God.
Let's stop right there because already I'm triggered. He's telling you he hates you. He wish he never married you. I don't love you. I think you ain't shit. Like, just going ham on you. And you talking about I love you? You talking about the grace of God? Let's go back to that part because what God is this?
It wouldn't bother me because I allowed God's voice to be louder than his. And when I was going through transition of him not coming home on the weekends, not being there, telling me I hate you, I'll never love you, I wish I never married you, right. I knew that life and death is in the power of the tongue through the word of God. So I would say, you will love me one day. We will have a good marriage one day. And although he would.
And that's the thing though, like, excuse me, why are women or, why are the wives in this case within a religious context as this, she's a wife of a pastor. Why are they so sad? Like, this is a poor example to women, to young girls, to young women out here who would like to get married, but they see this and they think, oh, so this is how marriage should be, right? Like, the fact that she has to speak life over, it's one thing to speak life, because I believe in the whole, there is power in the tongue, right? What you say, what you consistently speak of, you will consume of that and believe that. So you should speak life. Absolutely. But let's not act like it is ever acceptable to soldier on in a marriage to a man who is saying to you, I wish I never met you. I wish we never got married. You ain't shit. Your mama ain't shit. These kids ain't shit. And you're fat and ugly. That's basically what he said.
Go out for weekends, I would literally help him get ready to go meet a side chick by ironing his clothes and getting him ready for the night. And these are all things I was graced to do. I would not encourage anybody to do that unless you are graced by God to do this. But once.
And what does that even mean? Like, people just say like alliteration and think it is of God, right? I was graced by God. What does that mean? What does that, What does that mean? What does that look like? And I don't know if she gives more detail to that later on, but this is a consistent thing amongst Christian women. Some of them, not all of them. Let's say not even some. A lot of them. There's this like, oh, I'm gonna soldier on. I was graced by God, the anointing of the holy one. Like they say these like fancy words, and you are convinced, right? You're convinced that yeah, this is what I must do, and eventually my husband will turn around. Eventually, and then 10 years later, finally, after the side chick finally leaves his ass, okay, I'll commit to you only. That's what's happening. You can't tell me this man still ain't cheating on her. Hello? Okay.
I was graced to do. I would not encourage anybody to do that unless you are graced by God to do this. But once I knew who I was, I realized, oh,
but you don't know who you are. You don't know who you are. And I want us to stop finding our worth in marriage, in a husband. Not to say, because I don't want to sound like a hater. I want to get some balance here when I talk about marriage. I think I've consistently sounded like a hater. So I want to do better with that. I think, though, marriage can be a beautiful thing, and it's a beautiful partnership between two partners. That's beautiful. But when it becomes your identity, so much so that your worth is tied to this man, that is unsafe. That is dangerous. That is sad. It's really sad. So she talked about when she knows who she is. Now, who are you? A fool? Oh, I don't know. God bless, child. They're matching. I guess they're happy. Up next with our next shenanigans, we have here this woman who is telling us that she paid $10,000 for her dating coach, and it worked because not only did she meet the man who fills her needs, but within a year he proposed and they're getting married.
I invested $10,000 into my dating coach. Shout out to Aaron White. I met my fiance a year ago. He proposed 2 months ago. And now we're getting married in 5 months. So I'm going to finish telling you the iconic engagement story. After that, I'm going to use this page to help you become the CEO of your love life. But first, let's talk investments. People will spend $20,000 on Dr. Miami, $100,000 on higher education, but there are some people in my comments literally cringing at the idea of investing their money and protecting their hearts and their future love lives. So I know the cost. I literally wasted 13 years of my youth on a man because I was not educated on how to date, how to choose wisely, how to pick with intention and clarity. And that comes with consequences. Having children with someone who doesn't show up, wasting years in a low vibrational relationship, letting your emotions allow you to crash out and lead you away from your purpose, being delulu about the red flag. So as a CEO of a 7-figure content studio, I'm now the CEO of my love life. And I lead my love life with wisdom. Your literal life depends on who you choose. So I encourage you to choose wisely. I'm 39.
Hey, I know I just came off the heels of this woman.
Had a radical heart shift from that moment.
But
been on 1 date in 2 years.
I think this is not as bad as people are dragging her to be. And it's because of the reason that she says. She says here that she spent 13 years of her life wasted on the wrong men, the wrong relationships, and she looked at her relationship history and wanted to finally invest into someone who could help her meet the love of her life and create the rest of her life. We invest into other things in our life, right? You know, many of us have $50,000 at minimum of student loans for degrees, advanced degrees, the list goes on. Many of us have money in our homes, right? You know, our mortgage is, you know, it impacts our credit score. all in all, to say we invest in so many things in our life for the quality of our life, right? I'm investing into school so I could live a life that is of the means that I prefer. I could have access to these perks. I could have access to networking opportunities and a lifestyle that I imagine for myself. So investment is the right way to put it. You are investing. And I think for so long, we haven't seen or looked at relationships as an investment, you know, maybe in the sense of if you're already in a relationship and you guys have businesses together, that's an investment. But still, that's obviously an investment, right? That's an investment in a financial incentive that could better the life of you and your partner. But we don't look at the emotional, romantic building of a relationship as an investment. We don't see that as an investment with the financial cost to it. And I think what she's doing here is pretty awesome. You know, if you have the funds and if you really want to make it happen, you can find the funds and invest in a coach who could help you. The thing is, the reason I said like that, help you, because I always feel like when it comes to your love life, it's hard to kind of dictate how, maybe that's my fixed mindset, but like I think it's easy to dictate how your career goes, how your schooling goes, or where you go to school, like, or where you live, I mean. But when it comes to like who you date, I think you can only control so much, right? So for example, okay, bet she had $10,000 to invest in this dating coach who apparently was reputable enough for her to go with. But how can she guarantee the payout of this investment, right? Like, the point is, there's no guarantee in that, because okay, she probably could have dated someone and it's still gonna have, like, it still could have not worked out. Like, it still could have failed. It's still like he still could have been doing slimy stuff and she couldn't handle it anymore. Like, I think there's always a cost to something. And she's making it sound super easy in a sense of, hey, I mean, $10,000 is not easy money, but this idea of, well, I put in this money, I met the love of my life within a year, and he proposed to me last, 2 months ago. You could do it too. And it's like, I just don't think it's that calculated as it is, as she's making it out to appear. I don't think it is. I think there are cosmos, and I really do. I think with relationships, it's very much, I think sometimes you're living out past lives stuff, ancestral stuff, traumatic stuff. I think there's a lot to consider. I really do. Maybe I'm just too woo-woo, but I don't think is that black and white. I don't think it's that structured. I think, and you have to consider the other person here, because he could very much say, you know what, I don't want to get married anymore. I thought I did. I don't want to. He could suddenly have commitment issues. He could suddenly not want the same things you want, and you thought your life was going to go one way, but it's not. Like, there's so many things that could change it up. Like, there's no guarantee is what I'm saying. But when I think about education, right, that's a guarantee. Like, I know when I study, when I put in the work and go to class, meet my assignments, I'm going to graduate with this degree. Like, in my head, I just know that to be true. This is A plus B. Like, that's black and white. There's no nuance. But with relationships, it's so nuanced. It's so unclear. Like, it's a lot of gray area. It's a lot of compromise. And that's just, it's not this black and white thing. So, I mean, I'm hoping it works out for her. Congrats in advance. That's amazing. And, God bless. God bless. Anyway, y'all, that was the episode. I know you liked it. Like the video again. repost. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're also subscribed on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That will be amazing. And if you're listening to me on those platforms, make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. That will be helpful as well. I am hiking up on my subscribers, so continue to support this independent broadcast here. And as you can see on the ticker at the bottom of this video, that is your way of supporting this grassroots podcast by donating to the Cash App. I appreciate any form of donations. And I just thank you in advance. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.